Okay, in this video screencast, we're going to talk about civic education in a democratic society. This is chapter 12 in our textbook. So, what do you think of when I say civics? What does that bring up in your mind? I want you to think about that for just a second. Really, the goal of social studies, as we all know so far, is to develop those confident citizen actors who can make decisions for their own good, their family's good, but also for the common good. And this is what we're talking about in this chapter today. So you want your students to become not only responsible decision makers in the classroom, which is where you start, but also ultimately in society. And how do we do that? How do we make it there? This is a cute little clip from Kindergarten Cop. If you've ever seen that, hopefully you have. I'm just going to let it play. It's only 44 seconds long, but it's so...
Today we're going to play a new fun game. It's called Police School. I'm going to be a sheriff. You're going to be my deputy trainees. Oh, come on. Stop whining. You kids are soft. You lack discipline. But I've got news for you. You are mine now. You belong to me. You're not gonna have your mommies run behind you anymore and wipe your little douches. Oh no, it's time now to turn this mush into muscles. No more complaining, no more Mr. Kimball have to go to the bathroom, nothing. There is no bathroom.
Well, of course, we know we're not going to be like that, but we can start with a laugh and then just talk about what we're going to do to really teach these kids how to be great decision makers. Well, first of all, you have to have a democratic classroom. In other words, you cannot be the dictator in charge that makes all of the rules that everybody else has to follow. Your kids have to be really involved throughout the whole process of creating those rules, and they'll have better buy-in if you let them be involved in that. And you guys should have talked about this in behavior and classroom management by now, so I won't spend a whole lot of time on classroom rules, but you have to be a role model. You have to be the one that's going to treat students with respect and have an open and supportive climate. Kids need to be able to express their view in a risk-free zone without feeling like they're going to be made fun of or that they're not going to be valued. So you need to be the role model in that. Also, you're going to make sure that everybody's perspective is heard. All of the people in the room have the same amount of votes, which is 1, and so you need to remember that. You're also going to value respect and cooperation, obviously. Share goals and rules and make decisions as a group. This is really important. Help kids know that they have a say in what you're doing. And do that on an ongoing basis, every day even. Make sure that kids have a say, a choice, and a vote. There are lots of things you can do. Obviously, even starting in kindergarten, you can help, kids can help make the rules in the class. They know what they're supposed to be doing. You'll hear a kindergarten correct other kindergartens walking in the hallway, so you know that they know, so they can help. Third graders can be involved in establishing a class constitution. As they're studying the Constitution, they can go through and make their own, and you can help them do that. Also, they need to learn about majority rules, which is about voting. Again, they need to go through that process. Here's an example down here of a 5th grade example. You can click on that, and it just shows one class's example of what they came up with as the Constitution for their classroom. Also, you need to just vote on things. We would talk about, I'd have 2 snacks for that day, and I would let them vote on which snack we would have. And that's something very little, but they figure out very quickly that they have a say in the classroom. So I want you to think about some other things that you could have your class vote on, and you can be ready to share some of those in the discussion time in class. The other thing you need to really think about and teach to your class is that you not only have freedom, you also have responsibilities. So your class can create a classroom rules chart, but they can also create a classroom responsibility chart that shows what they are responsible for doing. Classroom jobs are really great for this. It can help the students know that they have a say, but they also have a responsibility as a citizen in your classroom. So we're going to quickly go through the 5 categories for civics and government standards. You guys know these. We talked about them in the GLEs, but we'll just go over quickly what they are. Civic life, politics, and government. I'm just going to go through these and talk about them just a little bit. Elementary students obviously can grasp the elements of rules. Every classroom has them. It seems like every hallway has them, the lunchroom, the pep assembly, all these different things. And you can teach those through children's literature. Officer Buckle and Glory is a great book for that. Middle school students can learn different forms of governance, and they talk about those things because they talk about world history and ancient Egypt and Greece and all of those things, and so those are different types of governance. You can also have student government in your own classroom or within the school with student council, and all of these things really encourage that citizenship model of governance. So think about what your types of experiences were with this in school. I'm going to go ahead and just let you read through that. You can look at it on your own. This is just different types of government in school. Again, student council and all of those things, it can be a good thing, but it can also be a thing that divides popular kids from not so popular, so it becomes kind of hairy to deal with, but it can be a very good thing, and there are some benefits to that. So I want you to think about those and be ready to share some of those in our discussion. The next thing is the role of the citizen. You can help students understand to be good citizens in your classroom, and that can translate into good citizens in the whole school, in the community, but also ultimately in your town and the country. You can talk about personal skills, communicating your beliefs and feelings. That goes along with Common Core of justifying your beliefs, knowing what you stand for, giving reasonings to back up your beliefs. That's really important. Kids, this also has to do a lot with working with other people and developing those people skills as a leader and a follower, and being able to divide tasks and duties and follow through and be responsible. Let's see. How do you teach students to do these things? Obviously, the first thing is you're a role model, and you do that in your classroom, and you expect that from them. The next thing about civic education is about critical thinking, and this is really important. This is a Common Core skill that is focused on in the Common Core, and it's very, very important even in younger grades to help kids understand how to critically think about something. Helps to promote questioning, observing, challenging. If you think back to learning about history, historians always question things and think about who said it and why they said it and what was going on in society at the time. And so you can help kids to be able to do that. One way is through studying political ads during elections, and these are really, really interesting, and also propaganda. And on this next slide, I have a political ad from Mitt Romney that you can watch. You can go and look at this presentation on our website, and you can watch that and try to pick out some things that are questionable or maybe propaganda. And I'm not trying to get political on you, but this is a really interesting one that you can kind of evaluate and judge for yourself. Another thing, obviously, the right to vote. This is very important. Again, vote on things. You can vote very informally by a raising of hands. You can vote by a ballot on some things to go through the different kinds of voting. Also, you can make charts and graphs and all of those things. But it's also good to learn about voting at different times in history because women weren't able to vote at certain times. African Americans could not vote at certain times, and just all those things that kids probably don't have a whole lot of knowledge of, but are very, very interesting. This is an excellent site. I put it on our before class responsibilities for today, and just go there and look at all of the available resources that can help you incorporate voting into your classroom. Another really, really important thing about civic education is character ed. And in a lot of school districts, the social worker or the counselor on staff will be responsible for character education, but you need to incorporate these things into just your everyday teaching as well. And you will teach these without even really thinking about it. When you help a student understand how they hurt someone's feelings, or whenever you're teaching them how to the right way to do something versus the wrong way. So you will deal with all of these, and these are just some vocabulary words that are sometimes difficult to understand. You can read through those and see what you think about those. But there are a lot of different reasons to teach character ed. Obviously, it helps children to be productive members of society and to understand what is expected of them. Teaching the Pledge of Allegiance and to value the symbols of our country. That's one of the first ways that kids really think about character in kindergarten and first grade. Also, we need to help students learn about the documents that shape our country. What was the Declaration of Independence about, and the Constitution? This all goes back to character ed and having students that care about their country enough to be proud of it and to be good citizens. A great way to teach about it is children's literature. Obviously, it seems like we keep going back to that every single time, and we do, because there are so many great lessons that kids can learn from these. Helen Lester's Me First is a really, really great story about helping kids learn how to take turns and not always have to be first at everything, which is a huge thing in kindergarten and first grade, even second and third grade. Another one is Stand Tall, Molly Lou Mellon. I know a lot of people know this book, but it's a wonderful book about being proud of who you are and loving yourself, and also, it's about bullying too. And so there are just so many different pieces of literature that you can incorporate, and it's also good to share literature with both good and bad character traits, then have discussions with the students about compare and contrasting those things. And that's all for this chapter 12 on civic education. I hope you enjoyed reading this chapter, and we'll discuss it in class.